appreciation to the staff. They were amazing, and it's not an easy issue to talk about. My communities in California know what the rest of the state is beginning to understand, that predators and bears are out of control in California. I represent 11 very rural counties in the North State. The state's estimate of bear population has more than doubled in the past decade, and conflict between people and bears is rising. Half of those bears are estimated to be in my district. The populations of wolves and mountain lions have also skyrocketed. Bears don't share territory with wolves and mountain lions. When the population of one increases, the territory over the other two increase in response. They are expanding, not my communities. AB 1038 is not about harming animals. It is about preserving their natural behavior and ensuring public safety in a humane way. From the Oregon border to the Tahoe Basin, families, farmers, and ranchers in my district are coming into contact with more and more bears as they break into dumpsters, cars, and even homes. Almost daily, I get a call or text from a rancher who lost another calf or cow, just like my cow that you saw on Ag Day, from a predator. Every week, sheriff deputies are called about more car break-ins and home invasions or a threatened pet. This problem is the worst in Tahoe, which has the highest density of black bears in the entire world. California's predator problem is unique. For rural communities like mine, public safety is not a hypothetical issue. People who travel from the Bay Area to visit the Sierras and the Cascades do not live here. For my constituents and I, this is daily life. It is the protection of our children as predators break into school cafeterias and prowl playgrounds, the security of our farms as livestock get mauled in pastures, and the safety of our beloved pets who are stolen from our porches and backyards. It is a constituent waking up to a blood-covered porch just yesterday of a kill on their front step. Predators are no longer afraid of people and dogs. Unfortunately, this has led to the death of an elderly woman named Patrice Miller, who was mauled by a bear in her home in Downeyville in Sierra County. Despite iron bars over her window and a padlocked sheet of wood over her door, the bear broke into her house and ate her alive. I encourage you to think about what you would do if a bear stalked you or your family for weeks on end. Predators are fast becoming a public safety crisis and a threat to agriculture, property, and pets. Assembly Bill 1038 puts tools back in the hands of wildlife managers to reduce conflict between people and bears before they escalate into dangerous encounters and death. Using science-based practices, this bill allows the non-lethal pursuit of bears with trained dogs, helping bears relearn their natural fear of people and dogs while pushing them back into their natural habitats without harming them. AB 1038 is a solution in between handing out a brochure and killing a bear that has become terminally accustomed to human food. It is about safety, science, and ecological balance. This bill does not mandate more hunting. It restores science-based management, protecting both people and bears. Wildlife managers and scientists with the Department of Fish and Wildlife will have the authority to establish when, where, and how this practice can be implemented effectively. They may never decide to use it, but it gives them a tool in their toolbox to do their job. AB 1038 ensures rural living can coexist with the incredible wildlife that makes my district so special to visitors around California and to my constituents. I love bears and all the wildlife that I get the privilege to live with, but we must responsibly manage wildlife. This bill is about smarter management, expanding tools that are already used by CDFW to licensed professionals. We're choosing to be responsible stewards of our wildlife and our communities, and I'm proud to author AB 1038. And I'm committed to keeping our communities safe and our bears wild. I respectfully ask for your aye vote. And I'm joined today by Sierra County Sheriff Michael Fisher and Kyle Garrett, a large carnivore biologist and bear conflict expert. I also have in the audience El Dorado County Sheriff Jeff Lakoff, who has Tahoe in his jurisdiction for technical support if needed.
Well, good morning. I'm Sierra County Sheriff Mike Fisher, and I appreciate the opportunity to address the committee. I wrote a couple of different things down, and I think that I'm just going to go off the seat of my pants instead of reading something to you. So in 2023, we had the first documented human death with a black bear. It happened about 75 yards from my office, right in Downeyville. The initial portion of the investigation, we did believe that the individual had passed away from natural causes and then a bear had broken in. At the conclusion of that coroner's report, that was not the case. Our independent pathologist found, after having discussions with pathologists in Alaska, and confirmed that it was a probable bear mauling. Leading up to this event, we had several habituated bears that were in our community daily. Both myself and my deputies were out on a regular basis hazing these bears out of our communities. We have a big mountain bike race every year. Little town of 300 people blows up to about 4,000 people on a weekend. I spent the entire day driving back and forth through our community, honking my air horn at these bears that were coming through the community. Now, our visitors thought it was great. They thought, oh, how cute is it? There's bears right here in town. Those that visit Tahoe on a regular basis probably see that. That's new to us. Sierra County's population has not grown. Our building and our footprint of our county has not expanded since probably back in the 30s. Over the past couple of years, the amount of bear issues, everything from property damage, bears breaking into occupied and unoccupied homes, vehicles, to the bear that broke into Patrice Miller's home and killed her. I'm supporting this bill because we need additional tools to keep these bears out of our communities. I would estimate approximately 200 calls for service last year. Of those 200 calls, and these are all bear related, of those 200 calls, probably 3/4 were either property damage or bears breaking into people's homes. So any tool that we can use to help get these bears out of our community and back into the forest, I am in support of. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Thank you so much. Next.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Kyle Garrett, large carnivore biologist. Spent about 1.5 years working for the California Fish and Wildlife Department stationed in Lake Tahoe. Helped out on the Downeyville situation as well. I'm here because it seems like there's a lot of confusion about this bill and what it's all about. So I'd like to clear that up. I will move pretty fast, but if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Can you not hear me?
You have to talk really close.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay.
Much better. If you could just speak just a little closer.
Okay.
Thank you.
No. Okay, yeah. So allowing dogs for hazing is no different than people with paintball guns and air horns chasing them on foot, which is a tactic currently used by CDFW and other bear advocacy groups. Causes no more stress than that does, and that is the goal at the same time. We want these bears to have a negative experience with humans. That is the whole point. I think people will look at that and think it's rude to the bear or rude to the dogs. When we're trying to minimize conflict and keep them out of trouble and keep them out of negative circumstances that are worse for the bear and humans, it's going to take a little bit of tough love, and that's what it takes. That's what this bill would do. In the analysis of this bill, there's an assumption that the conflict is going down due to the WI report found on CDFW's website or in their bear management plan as well. And I would say 1 year of lower calls does not dictate any type of trend in a statistical outlook over the last 10 years. And in fact, we know a lot of people don't report these things. I think if you were sitting at your house having a nice night and a bear started to break into your house, you're probably not going to Google who to call, what to call, where to call, and where do I fill out a Google form to announce and let the CDFW know that there's a bear breaking in. You're probably going to call 911. And while we do work really hard to try and work with local law enforcement, at this volume of calls, there's some oversight there, and it's just not possible. I wanted to point out that the dip in the WI reporting seems to take place in 2023, which is one of the years I was actively working in Tahoe with 2 other people. And between the 3 of us, we alone handled 600 calls in the Tahoe Basin. And on the report, that is barely showing. I'd also like to show that the report only shows 3 different categories, where in the WIR system, there's, I believe, 6 different categories that can be marked as far as when people do report these animals. AB 1030 does not open a hunting season and simply restores authority Fish and Game Commission to determine bear hunting regulations, just like they do for all other game species and like every other state does manage that way as well. The commission would also determine when and where
I'll need you to
running
wrap up
hounds.
because we have 2 minutes per witness. You're already in 3 minutes.
Oh man,
So, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
chatty, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So I think the last thing I would like to point out is in the report, there's a discussion of average hound chase happening from 3 to 12 hours. That was cited from 1985. That's very outdated, and I would question how true that is. I have not seen the exact report it came from. With GPS collars, that's not going to happen. No houndsman would put their dogs through that, and nobody wants a dog or a bear to go through 12 hours of pursuit either. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
I apologize for going over.
That's okay. It's all right. We'll get through it. Okay. So with that, we have, I know, a tremendous amount of Me Too's in favor of the bill. So this is for folks that aren't regularly here, what we call Me Too. We've had our primary witnesses who have a longer time to testify to give us the background. Me Too means literally just that. You say your name, you say whether you're in favor or in opposition. And if you're representing a group, you can say that too. But I think a lot of the people here may be just individuals coming to be Me Too's. So it will be my name and I'm in favor. And then after that, we will have witnesses against, and we will then have Me Too's against. And then we will deliberate on the bill. And I'm just saying this for the benefit of those that aren't normally in this environment, because I know we got a lot of people here, and I want to make sure everybody gets their Me Too in. So please start us off, if you would. Name and
I will hope to do you justice
I
with your
hope so.
description
Thank you,
there.
sir. Thank you.
Greg Herner on behalf of the 10 chapters of Safari Club International in support of the bill.
Keely Hopkins, State Director for the National Rifle Association, in support.
Nick Villa, biologist with the California Rifle and Pistol Association, in favor.
Hello, I'm Krista Maudlin with the National Wild Turkey Federation, in support.
Hi, I'm Mark Henley with California Waterfowl Association in strong support.
Hi, I'm Terrence George with California Houndsmen for Conservation, and I support.
Elizabeth Washoe, descendant of Northeastern California tribes, and I support this bill because it's a winning solution for animals and wildlife on my ancestral homelands.
Lori Jacobs, President of California Houndsmen for Conservation. As a sponsor, we strongly support this bill.
Hi, I'm Justin Zimmer, and I support this bill.
Chase Kiefer from Shasta County, and I strongly support this bill. Thank you.
Madam Chair, Bill Gaines, speaking on behalf of 36 wildlife conservation organizations in strong support of AB 1038. Thank you.
Kim Davis with California Houndsmen for Conservation and Mendel Lake Houndsmen, and we support this bill. Thank you.
I'm Dustin Griffin, and I support 1038. I'm from Groveland, California.
Brian Kiefer from Northern California with CHC. I definitely support this bill.
My name is Sarah Colby. I'm a veterinary technician and houndsman of Nevada. I drove over here to strongly support AB 1038.
Kevin Schmidt, Yuba County. I support this bill.
Ryan Redmond, Yuba County. I support this bill.
My name's Al Taglieri from Vacaville. I support 1038.
Jeff Becker, Napa, California. I support this bill.
Brian Barron from Napa. I support this bill.
Brandon Quintana from Fresno County. I support this bill.
I'm Haley, and I support this bill. I'm from Fresno County.
I'm Julie from Sutter County, and I support this bill.
I'm Hayden from Sutter County, and I support this bill.
I'm Yesenia from Sutter County, and I support this bill.
My name is Hayden from Yuba County, and I support this bill.
Daniel Longcrier from Bakersfield. I support the bill.
Dallin Torpy from Trinity County, and I support the bill.
Tammy Frazier from Trinity County, and I support this bill.
Michael from Tuolumne County, and I support this bill.
Willem Duplessis from Tulare County. I support this bill.
Thomas Thompson from Merced County, and I support this bill.
Randy Marquez from Tulare County. I support this bill.
Larry Moore, Tuolumne County. I support this bill.
Susie Moore from Tuolumne County, and I support the bill as written. Thank you.
Kathy Troike from Sutter County, and I support this bill as written.
I'm Natasha Hunt, Fresno County, support the bill as written. Thank you.
Matt Davis, Mendocino County. I support the bill as written.
My name is Dan Titchener. I'm affiliated with the UC Santa Cruz Mountain Lion Project, which I support from the Hounds. I support the bill.
Aaron Kitchens, Yuba County. I'm in the North Central Houndsmen. Support the bill.
Rachel Kitchens, Yuba County, President of North Central California Houndsmen, and we support the bill.
Danya McCutcheon, I support the bill.
Morris McCutcheon, Yuba County, and I support this bill.
Robert Alessio, Tuolumne County, Nuisance Wildlife Solutions, and I support AB 1038.
Don Powers from Mariposa County, and I support AB 1038.
Cody Stemler, Tuolumne County, Wildlife Nuisance Solutions, support the bill as written.
Peggy Donaldson, California Houndsman for Conservation Treasurer, and I support the bill as written. Thank you.
Just tell us whether you support the bill. That's right.
Bradley Donaldson, Sacramento County. I support AB 1038 as written. Thank you.
Okay, again, I'm going to say, because we've got a lot of people we want to get into and we want to hear from, please just give us your name. I'm okay to hear where you're from and whether you support the bill.
Brett Berger, Butte County. I support the bill.
Isaiah Torres, Butte County, and I support the bill.
Chase Colmer from Butte County, and I support the bill.
Charles Whitwam, I'm with Howl for Wildlife, and we support this pro-wildlife bill. Thank you.
I'm not going to say. Sorry, sir,
this.
if I could interrupt you. Again, we just need name, where you're from, whether you support the bill. Thank you so much, sir.
Shane Scholar, Hayward, California. I support the bill.
Jay Hart, Tuolumne County. I support the bill.
Zach Velkins, Colusa County. I support the bill.
Jorge Valdez, Yuba County. I support the bill.
Dennis Baskin, San Andreas, and I do support the bill.
Laura Seligman, Placer County. I'm against the bill.
Just so we, excuse me, sir, we will have a moment for those that are against the bill after we have a witness for the bill. Just so if there's anybody else in line that wants to be against, your time will come. Sorry, please, sir.
Colin Cleveland, Mendocino County, I support the bill.
Natalie Cleveland, Mendocino County, and I support the bill.
Come on, Jack.
Say your name.
My name is Jack Bailey, Stanislaus County. I support the bill.
My name is Terry Bailey. I'm from Stanislaus County, and I urge you to support the bill.
Terry Bailey Jr., I'm from Stanislaus County, and I support the bill.
Matthew Bailey, Stanislaus County. I support the bill.
Michaela Gray from Stanislaus County. I support the bill.
Katrina Bailey from Stanislaus County. I support the bill.
Lisa Bailey from Stanislaus County, and I support the bill.
Brent Martin, Stanislaus County. I support the bill.
Stephanie Letts from Stanislaus County. I support the bill.
Will Cronin, Truckee, California. I support the bill.
Chair and Member Stephen Fennerelli with the California Farm Bureau in support.
Kelly Platter, board member of CHC from Yuba County. I am in support. I'm also the last one.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. I appreciate people coming from far and wide to participate in the process, certainly. With that, we will have opposition witnesses to come forward now, please. 2 minutes per witness.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is my mic on? Yes. Okay, Madam Chair and members, Wendy Kiefover. I'm with Humane World for Animals. We strongly oppose AB 1038 because it allows packs of GPS radio collars to run amok on California's wildlands, ostensibly to haze bears away from human-dominated landscapes. We know this does not make people safer. Neither does hunting bears make people safer. According to a Western biologist I spoke with, hounding doesn't deter them. Moving food attractants does. The chase is stressful to bears. Hounds have a problem identifying boundaries, so they will infringe on people's private properties. If they're in neighborhoods, they could be hit by vehicles. They attack pets. The hounds attack pets, people, and domestic livestock. There's many examples of that. If houndsmen are chasing bears in the woods, they're chasing the wrong bears. The science is clear. The root cause of bear conflicts comes from food attractants, such as unsecured garbage and bird feeders, and in semi-rural areas, chicken coops and beehives not behind electric fencing. While hounding will cause bears to feel fear and stress, it will not produce the results that the author seeks. This bill is entirely about allowing an interest group to engage in hounding purely for recreation. This body banned bear hounding in 2012 because 83% of California voters polled opposed it and wanted their wildlife treated with respect. Hounding causes injuries and deaths to bear cubs, mountain lion kittens, deer fawns, ground nesting birds. It's a mayhem out there. Bears bayed on the ground will fight hounds, resulting in maiming or death to either species and particularly to defenseless cubs. Underperforming hounds are often abandoned or dumped into animal shelters. Instead, education and enforcing bear feeding ordinances do prevent conflicts. In Durango, Colorado, study researchers found in one neighborhood where they were given automatically locking trash can lids, compliance and conflicts decreased by 93%. Conflicts between bears and humans are increasing in California, but that's because of a 20-year mega drought not seen since 800 AD and extreme wildfires. Living through this is hard enough for California's bears and the rest of our native wildlife. We do not need the additional stresses associated with dangerous and recreational bear hounding. We urge you to vote no on AB 1038. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members. Dave Fleischman for the Bear League, a Tahoe-based NGO dedicated to helping people live in harmony with bears through bear education, aversion, and response. We strongly oppose AB 1038. It's an unnecessary solution to a misrepresented problem. California's black bear population has not doubled. In the newly finalized Black Bear Conservation and Management Plan, the Department of Fish and Wildlife reports that there's no evidence of any statistically credible population declines or increases over the last decade. Current law already allows for hazing with dogs under a CDFW depredation permit. If human-bear conflicts were increasing, it would logically follow that requests for depredation permits would have increased in a bear-rich area like Lake Tahoe, where I live. But the number of requests for depredation permits in the Tahoe region has declined by more than 50% since bear hounding was banned. Proponents shamelessly try to capitalize on California's first human death allegedly attributed to a black bear. Patrice Miller tragically died in 2023 north of Lake Tahoe, with the local sheriff noting at the time that she placed cat food, a known bear attractant, on her porch for dozens of cats. A study CDFW relies on in its recent black bear conservation report states, quote, management of human-bear conflicts can only come from large-scale security of the anthropogenic attractants that cause human-bear conflict rather than managing individual bears. South Tahoe Refuse and Alpine County have distributed state-subsidized bear-proof garbage cans to reduce access to human food sources. For nearly 30 years, Bear League has run a 24/7 hotline to dispatch response teams to help assist and educate the public about bear contacts. Bear League regularly loans out electric mats to deter bears from trying to access human food sources. These are time-proven management strategies that keep people and bears safe. AB 1038 is a bear hunting bill barely disguised as a public safety tool, one that is not needed and one that is not supported by science. And I understand I may have a few extra seconds, but I'll say that I'm one of the Bear League's first responders. I go out, I haze the bears. I agree with Mr. Garrett that sometimes they need tough love. But CDFW already has the tools that it needs under the existing law. And it doesn't speak too well for the budget to be cutting nearly 300 CDFW positions in a time where allegedly the number of bears contacts is increasing. So therefore, we respectfully request your no vote on AB 1038.
Thank you so much. Now we will turn it over to Me Too's in opposition from the audience.
Good morning again, Madam Chair. Jennifer Fearing on behalf of San Diego Humane Society and the Occidental Arts and Ecology Center in strong opposition.
Good morning, Juliana Tetlow on behalf of San Diego Humane Society's Project Wildlife in strong opposition. Thank you.
Sandy Abbott, opposed.
Alana Klein, opposing AB 1038 on behalf of the Public Interest Coalition, the Defiance Canyon Raptor Center, and Battle Creek Alliance. Thank you.
Connie Smart from Butte County, opposed.
Marquise King Mason, California Environmental Voters, in opposition. Thanks.
Good morning, Matthew Baker, Planning and Conservation League, respectfully opposed.
Good morning, Gabriela Facio with Sierra Club, California, in strong opposition.
Mia Lawrence from Fairfax, California, strongly oppose this bill.
Rajita Vemuri with Humane World for Animals, strongly opposed. Thank you.
Catherine Alvarez from San Francisco and Humane World for Animals, and I strongly oppose this bill.
Alex Bloomer, I'm a resident of Alpine County. I'm in opposition. I'm also providing opposition on behalf of the Center for Biological Diversity and their over 4,000 members, the Trust for Public Land, the Environmental Protection Information Center. Thank you.
Laura Seligman from Placer County, opposed AB 1038. Thank you.
Devin Barone from Placer County, Tahoe area, in strong opposition.
Lou Galgani from the Mountain Lion Foundation in strong opposition.
Paige Munson from Sacramento County. I'm here with the Mountain Lion Foundation in strong opposition. Thank you.
Samantha Haggio, Humane World for Animals, opposed.
Kathy Zollinger, I work with bears every day in Assembly
I got
District
to
1.
ask you just to keep it to a.
I'm strongly opposed.
Thank you.
Scott By, live in South Lake Tahoe. I oppose.
Caitlin Birch, oppose.
Chelsea Robinson with the Mountain Lion Foundation, and I oppose.
Scott Webb at the Resource Renewal Institute, oppose.
Morning, Chair and members. Sosin Madanat, W Strategies here on behalf of Animal Legal Defense Fund in opposition. Thank you.
Nick Sackett on behalf of Social Compassion in Legislation in opposition. Courtesy Me Too's in opposition for the Performing Animal Welfare Society, Paul Project, and the Humane Society of the Sierra Foothills. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. With that, we'll bring it back to the committee for questions or comments. Assemblymember Macedo, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Reading through the analysis, it showed that the number of reports have actually decreased since 2022. Why is that?
If I could have Kyle, our expert on that.
There's a number of reasons it could be. First and foremost, there's a lot of research out there that when management agencies come out with new policies, they're always going to make some group mad. In a state of California with 40 million people, there's no document you can put out that people won't react to. And so in 2022, the Department of California Fish and Wildlife, they put out a new approach on how they are handling bears with conflict, and you had a large group of people who didn't agree with their new approach on both sides, whether it was too strict or not strict enough. And so you lose a lot of community trust when things are that out in the open for people to nitpick or go for or go against. So there's a number of reasons for that. Again, I would say 1 year of lower reports does not dictate any type of trend.
It's been mentioned that the chasing by these hounds causes the bears stress. Would you say that's any more or less than what's typically used right now to chase the bears away?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, I would ask the opposition the same question. The methods you use, does that cause any more or less stress than the use of hounds?
Well, I can say that it causes much more stress for the dogs because they don't release the pursuit. Whereas if we move a bear out of the area, it's out of the area and we're done with it. Whereas a dog can chase a bear, a pack of dogs can chase a bear for 3 to 12 hours is what the science shows. And that bear can be exhausted, dehydrated, and can just be in tremendous stress. Contrary to the information sheet put out by the assembly member regarding the bears sitting calmly in the trees after this happens, that is not what happens. The bear is sitting up in a tree, scared to death. And if it had cubs and it was separated from its cubs, now it's under even greater stress. There's no way to regulate the dogs beyond their training, and there's videos all over YouTube showing rife dogs just running amok, not paying any attention to their handlers in this type of situation. So that is why CDFW and the current Fish and Game Code limits the number of dogs in a depredation permit for hazing to 3 dogs. It reduces the amount of stress on the bears, and allowing packs of dogs larger than that is going to increase dramatically the stress on the bears.
Since you addressed something the assembly member said, I'd like her to be able to address that.
Yes.
No, I'm sorry. I'm talking to the assembly member. Thank you.
So I would say that it is adding. It's going to stress the bear out. We want that. We want that natural chase. That's a natural predator mentality that we want to keep them in the wild. We typically used dogs for hunting, so the chase wasn't released. It would be released now. Bears are smart animals. They will learn from this, and it will help them stay away from humans. We want them to think about a barking dog as something they don't want to go near. That's what we're looking for. I would say the 3 to 12 hours is very, very extreme. These hounds are very well trained. They are loved by their families. I know many houndsmen personally that they are loved probably more than their children at sometimes. They're very well taken care of and very smart. When that data was found, it was we did not have the technology that we have now. So a lot of the data that has been informing people from opposition is outdated and almost 15 years old. We've come a long way in technology, and the use of GPS and tracking they're not separated as long now. And all the opposition that sat down with me had never been on a bear hunt or seen hounds in action, which is very concerning to me. Nor do they live in my district and have to deal with bears. Most of them are fighting this fight from the city.
Well, to your point, we had discussed yesterday, there's horrible things happening. Can you share, maybe the sheriffs can share as well, just one story of what's happened because this has gone kind of unmet with this particular use of, in my opinion, humane way to handle the situation?
And if you don't mind, I would like to ask a follow-up. One example of predators or particular with bears?
Particularly with bears, since that's what we're talking about in this situation.
Sure. And over the last year and a half in Western Sierra County, we have regularly ran into bears that have been habituated within the community and just are not afraid. Yes, when they are hazed, they will run off, but within 45 minutes, they're right back into the same neighborhoods. So, when I was younger, growing up in that community, it was very common to see houndsmen during the bear season in Western Sierra County. And, I can't definitively give you scientific data that the reason that we didn't have the bear problems that we had back when hounds hunting was legal, that we're now seeing in my community. But I can tell you that it was commonplace to see the houndsmen in and amongst the communities dealing with the habituated bears and getting them out of our community.
Thank you.
Can I add a story? Is that okay if I add a story? Okay. Lake Tahoe Basin biologist. I get a phone call in February. For those of you that don't know, bears are typically hibernating in February, especially female bears with yearling cubs in tow, depending on mom. And it was a call from a woman who was sitting in her car with 2 4-year-old children strapped into their car seats when the female bear broke into the car trying to get food. Not typical behavior. Nothing that other states even have to deal with is bears not hibernating because they're not being managed and they're becoming so habituated. It's totally changed their behavior from what how natural bears behave.
And I would just add in hunting, this bill we're not hunting bears. They are allowed to hunt bears without hounds right now. And there are many mistakes made from hunters. They're following the law. They're doing everything right. I spoke to a gentleman this morning that's in here. If they are able to tree that bear, then they can see if it's a sow and if it's lactating and if it has cubs, and then they're going to let that bear go and find another one. That's not an option right now. So there are hunters that are putting sows down on accident because they're seeing a bear 100 yards away. This is a humane approach. We just want that balance back. The predators are out of control in my district. I know I show a lot of you guys pictures all the time. We're out of whack, and we need that ecological balance.
Okay, thank you. Assemblymember Tongapa. Anybody else, by the way? And then Bennett.
I just want to thank the author for bringing this bill because this is actually, I know that it's true that there's an issue in your district because my family has actually property up in Reading in the Shasta area. And there was an instance when I was about 11 years old. I'm working on the property and a bear comes out and I'm looking at my father in his back and we're eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And I freeze because I'm a child. And my dad picks up this 2x4 because he sees that I'm shaking and throws it and hits the bear right in the forehead. And the bear takes off and runs into the woods. And we're there and we're sitting and we're talking. And about 10 minutes later, the bear runs out and charges us. My dad takes care of it because we were prepared if the bear was to come back. That behavior is not normal behavior. And I think earlier, this entire committee has acknowledged earlier this month that there is a bear issue here when we took up and we heard Assemblymember Harabedian's bill on the San Gabriel area where bear interactions were happening more and more. And that bill passed unanimously by every single person on this committee, acknowledging that there is a bear issue. I believe that this bill gives another tool while we're looking at the solutions to make sure that human and animal interactions are safer, that we look into the future of as we grow, as bears grow. And again, I just think that this is an additional tool that we have to make the modern adaptations that we need. And as this committee has already supported and acknowledged that there is a bear issue, we should have all tools available to us and trust our local leaders to handle that. Thank you.
Thank you. Assemblymember Bennett.
I want to also recognize there is a bear problem. There's a growing bear problem as you have more interaction and more people living in areas where there's a wildland-urban interface, et cetera. And I don't want to minimize the sheriff's frustration with what is going on. My concern is this bill is so primarily focused on and includes the hunting of bears with dogs instead of being focused on what are all the things that we need to do to make the community safer. And so it confuses the issue. So people can raise legitimately the question, is this mostly to try to make it easier to hunt bears with dogs? Or is this mostly a focus on trying to do all the things that have to be done? If it was focused on doing all the things we have to be done, there'd be a lot more in the bill about all of those kinds of things. But so I won't be supporting this bill because of that provision in here about the hunting aspect, using the dogs for the hunting. happening, as I think that decreases sort of the confidence that that's the genuine focus. And at the same time, I want to recognize that is a serious problem out there, and I hope that that can get addressed with all kinds of appropriate techniques. Thank you.
Well, there's no question pending. I will give the author a chance to briefly comment. Thank you.
I just want to reiterate that this bill does not authorize hunting. It authorizes CDFW. If in the future they need that option, they can bring that back because they're the bear experts. They're our wildlife management for the state, and they should be making those calls, not legislators. I don't consider myself a bear expert. I would hope none of us in the assembly do. I would also say that we have already done those things. I mean, I would use Tahoe as an example, and they have the highest bear population in the nation, so or in the world. So we have done those. We're past those efforts at this point, and we need to step it up.
Thank you. Okay, next up I have Assemblymember Rogers.
No, thank you so much. And I want to appreciate you bringing forward a problem that I know impacts both of our districts. I'm not convinced that this is the solution to it, so I won't be supporting today. But I did want to hone in on something that you did bring up that is a very real issue, and that's farmers losing their livestock as a result of animal behavior, whether it's mountain lions or bears. And there's a fund that is supposed to compensate farmers for that is currently empty, and would love to work with you on getting money put back into that fund in this year's budget if you're up for it, because that is the flip side of how we manage our wildlife, is the impact that it has on farmers as well, and that's the price that we have agreed to pay as a state to try to make it so that we find that balance, and currently we don't have it. So we'd love to work with you on that.
We have a request in for $50 million this year and next, but it's only for wolf depredation, so bears aren't in that.
Interesting. Assemblymember Baines.
Yes, I just had a question about the dogs attacking, or not attacking, pursuing the bears.
Yeah.
I'm worried if they get attacked by the bear, what happens?
So they're taught not to engage physically with the bear. It absolutely could happen, but they're trained to. That bear's instinct is to go in a tree. So they tree the bear, they wait for their handler to come, and then they're released. How long that is in between can vary. Typically, it's not 12 hours like was expressed. I would say it's under 3. Maybe closer to an hour and a half, if that. So because now we have side-by-sides and technology that leads you right there. You're not hiking around the woods. They are very, very well trained. They're also very single-minded. So they can see deer and they still stay on that trail. They can see other animals, other species. They are trained to focus on that bear or whatever animal they're treeing. That just like hunting waterfowl and using a dog for that, you wouldn't bring a dog that doesn't do its job to the woods to pursue. Oh yeah, no, the dogs are very safe. These, like I said earlier, these dogs are very, very. They're part of their families. They're very well loved, and they don't want them hurt either. And I don't think any. I feel like I can speak for Houndsmen. That they do not want to put their dogs in harm's way.
You okay? Dr. Baines? Then? Okay. I have Assemblymember Hart.
Yeah, there's been a lot of things said. We've been talking for quite some time about different aspects of this problem. I'd really like to hear from the opposition. You really haven't had an opportunity to respond to many of the things that have been said. There's a lot of science involved in here, and I appreciate the urgency of the situation in the communities that are experiencing this. Not the first communities to engage, have conflicts with bears and humans, but there's a lot of science I think that would be useful for the committee to hear about. So if you wouldn't mind sharing some of that.
Assemblymember, is there a specific aspect of the science that you're interested in? Because there are a number of studies that have been cited in CDFW's recent black bear management report. I'm prepared to address some of them, but not all of them, because there's a significant number of them in there. But I can tell you a couple things, that population estimates that are based on camera trap data can be erroneous in that a bear can be identified at 2 separate camera traps, miles and miles apart, and be identified as 2 different bears. Give you a quick example. Last night in my backyard, a bear with an ear tag 1988 walked through my camera run, and that bear was seen in Homewood 25 miles away less than 3 weeks ago. So that bear could be counted as two separate bears on a population study. So what we're doing now in the field is we're trying to use photographs and at least in Alaska, they're now starting to use AI to identify individual members of a bear population through facial recognition software. And those are tools that CDFW has not had access to until recently, and that would provide better science as to the numbers. When you look at the draft bear report versus the final report, there's an interesting diminution of the population, say, in the north area where I'm from, of about 35% in the bears, whereas in San Luis Obispo, there's an increase of 70%. And there's no discussion of how those numbers change so radically in a one-year period. So I think CDFW has a baseline that they can work from, but they need additional information that they're working on. And I favor that type of scientific approach to determining the population of the bears so that it can inform management decisions. So if the bear population is truly exploding, which we do not believe it is, then you have management tools available to you. Whereas if the population data is showing that the bears are actually half the numbers that CDFW has estimated, then the other management tools that are placed into effect may not be as appropriate under the circumstances.
Madam Chair, may I respond as well?
Yes, please.
Quickly.
Okay, thank you. It doesn't matter what size the bear population is. You can have a small population and have a lot of conflicts. You can have a large population and have virtually zero conflicts. It's all about how trash and livestock and feed are managed. It's all about human behavior. And we know that hounds and bears are injured or killed and cubs are killed. It is cruelty. If a bear gets bait on the ground, if it's a mother, she's going to rip into those dogs. They'll have punctured lungs. They can be killed. There's a lot of cruelty involved with this. This is a solution that doesn't work. What we need to do is contain human food attractants and livestock attractants. That's what works.
Thank you. Assemblymember Hedwig, please.
I would just like to reiterate that California Department of Fish and Wildlife is our agency that does our wildlife management for the state, and I think it's irresponsible and inappropriate to characterize that their science is not correct. These are the numbers coming from them, from the bear plan. All of the information that my team has presented to you guys is from that, and I feel they're the experts in this field.
Fair enough. Okay, Vice Chair Gonzalez.
A lot of different pieces are part of this puzzle, and I just want to kind of understand this from what we call the patterns of past activity, current situation, and then predictive analysis, right? So let me just ask a couple questions to anybody who can answer this. What are the current mitigation efforts for bear encounters?
Education.
Okay.
We're handing out brochures and teaching people to lock their trash cans up.
Education. And to the opposition, is that correct?
Well, yes, education. That's the E in Bear League. We engaged in that process. I would say bear-proof garbage cans. State has funded that. I came out the other day and my garbage can was knocked over, but it was not open because it's a bear-proof garbage can.
Education and like a garbage can or a tool like that. Is there anything else out there?
I mean, you have to have law enforcement to make sure that people are, in compliance with ordinances to prevent attracting bears or other wildlife.
There's also diversive conditioning, such as chasing them with air horns and paintball guns, already in place, both by CDFW and bear advocacy groups.
Okay. So there's already some tools in play, right? So I'm trying to think of my mom. Right, because we brought up the how the lady put out cat food. I think still dead, right? So I can tell my mom, "Hey, Mom, don't put out the cat food for those great cats." But she's got a heart for them, and she's going to do that, right? So it makes it a little challenging to tell I'm not going to tell her age, older mother. To not feed the great cats that come over to her house. In that situation, not knowing that anybody else knows that there's cat food, what's the next mitigation effort if we don't know that that's going on?
Well, if we don't know that it's going on, we can't address it. But if someone is intent on feeding their cats on the porch, we can recommend putting in electric wiring around the porch area.
To electrocute the bear.
It's not electrocute. It provides
It's electricity, though, right?
It's electricity. And
Okay.
barely
So then my
provides
next
mats.
question is, with that level of stress of electricity, let's say that same bear gets into my mom's house. What's the mitigation effort there? What are we educating, or what are we doing? Because I don't live in this area. I live in the desert, and we don't have bears. We got coyotes.
CDFW at that point is typically called in when bears enter homes, and it just depends on a case-by-case basis on how expensive the damage is for a depredation permit to be issued or not. If it is issued, it would allow the removal of that bear. If it is not, then that bear continues to go on. There are numerous bears in the Tahoe Basin where I have the most experience for California that have well over 15 home invasions on their personal records, and they have either not been dealt with or could not be caught up to be dealt with.
So, Sheriff, if someone calls you 911, I got a bear in my living room, what do I do? What's your direction to them?
Absolutely. So one of the important things to understand is CDFW does not have a game warden assigned to Sierra County. That's a whole other issue, not for this committee. So it's going to be one of my sheriff's deputies or myself personally responding. My definition of a public safety is stark different than what California Department of Fish and Wildlife believes is a public safety. A bear continuously breaking into a home or breaking into multiple homes, whether occupied or unoccupied, in my opinion, is a public safety. If Fish and Wildlife is unwilling or unable to issue a depredation permit, then I will declare the bear a public safety risk, and I will contact the U.S. Department of Agricultural's federal trappers, and they will assist in setting a trap for that bear. If the bear is then captured, then it will be euthanized.
So that sounds like a lot of time in between my mom calling 911 and someone either showing up or getting a permit. So what happens if it takes you 30 minutes? Because sometimes it takes a long time, 30, 45 minutes. My mom's cornered. She's got my dad's slingshot and a shotgun. What is the direction then?
Yeah, the direction, of course, would be self-preservation and protecting yourself. Your mother in this particular scenario would be, authorized to discharge the shotgun. I'd recommend that over the slingshot. But meanwhile, my dispatch is going to be talking to this individual. And if the bear is still in the house, we're going to be responding code 3. If the deputies get on scene, the bear is still inside the house, the deputies are going to dispatch the bear.
In opposition, do you disagree with that, or?
I think there are a couple ways that I would advise your mom. Look for the way the bear came in and don't block that way. Move away from the bear, yell at it, throw things at it. If it approaches you, back away slowly, but don't engage with the bear to the extent possible. If the shotgun is available and she feels threatened, I would agree with the sheriff that that is a situation where it might be appropriate to use it. However, that is the last case scenario. And so when I deal with bears on a nearly daily basis in the summer, I look at what that bear is doing and I try to read it. And I have found one of the best aversive methods is a well-placed pine cone.
A well-placed pine cone. Please, I don't understand what that means. Throw a pine cone.
I'll throw a pine cone at a bear and it'll move away. And that is my weapon of choice, so to speak, because black bears, at least in the Tahoe region, are conflict averse. And when we move along bears, we have kind of an escalating continuum that we'll use. We'll use air horns. We'll use paintball guns. Banging on a pot and pan is a good way to do it. So there are a number of ways that you can get a bear to leave the circumstances. The problem is if there's food available to them, they don't care about the noise. They don't care about the paintball. They don't care about the pine cone. If there's food available, they're going to come back.
And I think my colleague talked about that when there's residential population in an area, and there's also with bears, we can say that there's going to be food, right? Whether it's available readily available is the question, right? So there's always going to be that piece, and I'm trying hard to understand when we are trying to control human behavior over bear behavior. It makes it a little bit challenging for me to look at that in support of the opposition when there's multiple tools already. We're talking about a electric mat. Why not add the dog versus killing the bear? I'm with you. Like, let's leave that as a last choice. If they can run off and do their own thing, even better. So that's where my confusion in the opposition statement lands. If we are going down this road, it's a slippery road, and education is great, but sometimes we have to get to that point where life of a human versus life over bear. Thank you.
I would like to just co-sign that.
No question pending at this point. So I got to cut you off, and we did want to have a stop. We have one more Assembly member, please. Alvarez, you're at. I'll get to you. I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
Thank you. I first want to thank the author. Number one, your thoughtfulness. People may not know this about you, you being an animal lover, number one. And so what you bring before us, holds a lot of merit for me, given that I know your love for animal and nature. So that already in the spirit, outside of your thorough packet that you provided all the legislature and giving us, a briefing on it. I really appreciated that thoughtfulness that you took to come reach out to those of us that don't live in your district or have bear encounters. I live in the Bay Area. We have coyotes and bobcats in certain areas of our open spaces, but that's the extreme that I get, and I know the dangers of even those small things. I do know your area really well because I do go up north a lot. You have a beautiful recreational area where people and the natural habitat collide. And so I understand the spirit of your bill. I am very supportive. I feel that California bear management practices must prioritize the safety of both the people and the wildlife. By promoting a coexistence and reducing harm to humans and to bear conflict throughout the state of California. And I feel that your bill does that. And I appreciate, again, the education that you've done of your colleagues reaching out to us, and hopeful that this is a good balance for both nature and humans. So thank you.
Thank you. And I fully understand that most people don't have the same problems that we do in District 1, so we really tried to educate people.
Assembly Member Alvarez.
Thank you. I also want to start off by acknowledging coming from a region that doesn't have these types of encounters. So certainly a lot of learning that I had to go through in reading all the material, and I truly appreciate this has been one of the most truly robust conversations from colleagues asking questions and just helping me think this through a little bit more. So I appreciate all of you. I think what I come down to is that I'm if nothing else, stubbornly consistent. And in this committee, in the past, we have had other measures looking to ban certain things, looking to industry, that industry has come forward and said, there's a regulatory body, let's allow the process to go through the regulatory body to determine whether this ban or that ban makes sense. And I've been consistently stated that we should look to the expertise to make decisions. The way I read the bill, agreeing with Mr. Bennett that there's two different things here, and so I want to acknowledge that because I may feel differently going forward than how I do at the moment, particularly on the issue of utilization for hunting. I think I'm interested in learning more about that. I still have not seen any scientific evidence on those impacts, but I'm not saying that they don't exist. I just have not been presented with that evidence. And rather than speculate, allowing the regulatory body, the Department of Fish and Wildlife, to make the decision based on evidence would seem appropriate to me. But again, willing to engage on that if there's a better approach. So there's two separate things. On the first component of this, which is for public safety purposes, I am much more compelled to definitely support your approach here, given the concern for the public. And so I think I would just say we do this a lot. We ask people to work on issues, and we support people moving forward with their legislation, knowing that it's not fully, perhaps fully baked, or some components that we would like to see change. I think there may be some components I like to see change. I'm willing to support this today, but also willing to listen to some of the evidence as it relates particularly to the hunting component. And would really appreciate hearing from the department themselves on the decision-making on that, so I understand exactly what the implications are of this. It still would be their decision. You are not authorizing anything. You are authorizing them to make the decision if they believe that that's the right decision. If they don't want to have that as a tool to ever make that decision, I think it'd be important for us to know that as well. But again, being consistent, quite frequently we critique each other's bills on what may still need some work. I think you may still need some work, but I'm willing to support this going forward, and reserving perhaps the possibility that if it doesn't change in a way that I think is necessary before I see it again, reserving the right to maybe not vote for it at another time. But I think it's appropriate to move forward at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. Would you like to close?
Yes. As you can see, this bill comes with an emotional side. I would ask you to set the emotions aside and look at the facts and the science. There's been a lot of misinformation and truth twisted about this bill, and the information that we presented was from credible sources and experts in the field. AB 1038 is a solution in between handing out a brochure and having to put a bear down because it became terminally accustomed to human food. It's about safety, science, and ecological balance. Opposition for this bill has been unlike any others that I've worked on, and they're unwilling to compromise with this. Their mission is to get rid of hounding or hunting altogether. And this mission is fought while living in the city, not in my district or any district that is plagued by predators, none of which that I spoke with had actually been on a hunt with dogs or seen the dogs in pursuit in person. You've also seen the line of people for this bill. I would ask you, if this bill isn't the answer and no amendments were given to us by the committee and it's voted down today, then what is the answer? Because my district needs to be able to protect itself from predators. My district needs to be proactive and not reactive after the fact. I have to go home and answer to my constituents and try to explain why Sacramento won't help them, why legislators don't care about their fear enough to make a different decision, and why the state won't step in. At what point do we choose people? We are off balance. Predator numbers are through the roof, and in my very rural district, my communities are paying the price. There's room for all of us, but we have to manage our wildlife. We have a responsibility to keep both of our residents and our wildlife safe, and this bill gives us the ability to do so. I respectfully ask for your vote, for your aye vote on a bill that will save lives. Thank you.
Thank you so much. With that, we'll take a vote.
Item number 10, AB 1038, motion is due pass to appropriations. Pappen?
No.
Pappen, no. Jeff Gonzalez?
Aye.
Jeff Gonzalez, aye. Alvarez?
Aye.
Alvarez, aye. Avila Farias?
Aye.
Avila Farias, aye. Baines? Aye. Baines, aye. Bennett? No. Bennett, no. Berner? Caloza? Not voting. Caloza, not voting. Hart?
Not voting.
Hart, not voting. Macedo?
Aye.
Macedo, aye. Celeste Rodriguez? Rogers? No. Rogers, no. Tangipa? Aye. Tangipa, aye.
So we'll leave that on call.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, I think what we're going to do now is we're going to have to take a break. I don't have the other authors here. We'll add on, and then we will be taking a break, and we will reconvene at the end of the day. What time on the end of the day?
To be asked. TBD.
To be determined. I want all the members to please recognize that they'll be hearing from us as to the time that we're going to reconvene when we get access back into this room after ESTM. With that, we're going to go through so members can add on. If I could ask you to leave the room quietly, please, because we're still transacting business. Thank you.
On the consent calendar, Alvarez.
Aye.
Alvarez, aye. Avila Farias.
Aye.
Avila Farias, aye. Baines. Baines, aye. Berner. Caloza. Caloza, aye. Tongipa. Tongipa, aye. Okay. Item number 1, AB 430. Motion was due pass as amended to appropriations. Alvarez.
Aye.
Alvarez, aye. Baines. Oh, item number 1, AB 430. Alanis. Okay. Baines. Baines, aye. Tongipa. Tongipa, aye. Item number 2, AB 514. Motion was due pass as amended to appropriations. Alvarez.
Aye.
Alvarez, aye. Baines. Item number 2, AB 514. Teacher nurse. Baines. Baines, aye. Berner. Tongipa. Tongipa, aye. Item number 3, AB 550. Motion was due pass as amended to appropriations. Alvarez.
Aye.
Alvarez, aye. Baines. Baines, aye. Berner. Tongipa. Tongipa, aye. Item number 5, AB 697. Motion is due pass as amended to appropriations. Alvarez.
Aye.
Alvarez, aye. Baines. Berner. I'm sorry. Sorry. I'm on item number 5, AB 697. Yes. Okay. Baines. Baines, aye. Berner. Caloza. Caloza, aye. Macedo. Aye. Macedo, aye. Tongipa. Aye. Tongipa, aye. Item number 8, AB 929. Motion is due pass as amended to appropriations. Alvarez.
Aye.
Alvarez, aye. Avila Farias.
Aye.
Avila Farias, aye. Baines. Baines not voting. Berner. Tongipa. Tongipa not voting. I'm sorry. Okay. No, that's okay.
I'm sorry, which one was that one again?
That was AB 929 Connolly.
Oh.
Item number 8.
Sorry.
It's okay. Are we all good? You were at, yes, item number 8, 929.
No.
You said no to not voting?
Just no on the bill.
No on the bill. Okay. Tongiba, no. All right. Item number 9, AB 975. Motion is due pass as amended to appropriations. Alvarez.
Aye.
Alvarez, aye. Baines. AB 975, Assemblymember Gallagher. Baines, aye. Berner. Tongipa.
Aye.
Tongipa, aye.